guess I don't know at this point whether I would just go ahead and sort of pretend as if I'm presenting a YouTube video now and say, hello mares, and welcome, and here we are with this desert and we're going to build something in it, or whether I'm supposed to kind of like record an intro later. I haven't really kind of thought this through. We're doing it on the fly, so you get to see the magic or not so magic behind the scenes as I try this for the first time, and then upload it later in the week. So yeah, what we're going to do today is build a gambling and casino strip, and it is something I've been asked quite a lot to do, and show kind of what I did in my main city and how I went about constructing this area. So as you can see here, we are in a demonstration city that EA Track20 very kindly provided for me. We've got a bunch of resources, and it means that I can show you the build kind of creatively, and it's not something I'd normally be able to do in my main city, so I'm very grateful for the opportunity to do that and to showcase this for you. So let's go ahead and start, and I'll talk about what I wanted to achieve with the build and then how I went about doing it. So the first thing to note is, whenever you're building anything in SimCity BuildIt and you want to construct something in an area, you need to think about what area you're building in and what I think the landscape or the scenery or whatever you want to call it, the environment is around it, because it's always nicer if you can build into the environment. And it was seeing this desert strip that made me think of building a casino strip. But the first thing to note about this is it's on the diagonal, so it doesn't reach directly from the beach and then go back in its entirety. So we can't put a road in, for example, here and draw all the way back and say, right, that's going to be our casino or gambling strip, because we're in the greenery here, this bit. So the first thing I did was thought about having the casino strip kind of do this and come down here. And I played about with a few different versions. I had a main road kind of like this there, and I added in a second road like this. And I tried to kind of look at this and think about, well, how does this sort of fit in the desert? Does it fit with my idea of a casino strip? Because obviously we can't build on the diagonal, and ideally we'd like to be able to run a road kind of through like that in one line. And we could build a diagonal road like this, but I think it would look a little bit weird. So what I decided to do was throw away these roads and just try and build something predominantly in the desert, as if it was mainly in that area. So I removed these pieces of road. Let's do that now. Bulldoze, bulldoze, bulldoze. And I went for something in more or less the center of the desert, trying to capture the longest point, basically, to fit as much of the casino strip in the desert as possible. And that was about there. You can see it's probably the longest single road, or maybe just one over, sort of here. That might be the longest point, actually. Now I'm sort of eyeballing that distance there. It's the longest single line of road. So I made that the center, basically, of my casino strip. So let's go ahead and do that now. And I decided I wanted 2 roads either side of the central area. So let's put those in. And we'll build them out past the end, and then we can always remove them later. And you can obviously do all this in your own cities. You don't have to be playing the game kind of creatively with all these resources like I am here to test this stuff. It is a bit more fiddly to remove things, but once you've kind of made a bunch of decisions, it becomes quite easy. So that's our main casino strip. And then I wanted to think about, how does Sims enter the casino strip from, the main road? And I think I had a main coastal road running along here. So let's put that in and see what that looks like. And you can put it sort of, there, or one further down. It's kind of up to you. And then I moved to the next step, which was, what do I want the central area to look like? And I decided I liked I think it's the rows of trees that fit in. Yeah, they fit in a 2x1 space. So the 2 is the sort of front of the park. So you can see it snapping to the road there. If we zoom in, you'll see it a lot easier. It's the 2 side, the 2 long side that snaps to the road rather than the 1 side. So I wanted some of those to fit down the middle, like this. And then to intersect those with, I think I used small fountain parks because they fit quite nicely with a similar theme. You've got same kind of trees on them and they look quite nice together. You can see them there. The only thing I wasn't particularly keen on here was that you do have an entrance on the small fountain park. You can see probably in the menu down here and over on the park itself there is a little entrance there. When you're sort of zoomed out though in your city, it's almost indistinguishable. At night time it kind of shows up, and so if you can afford it and you want to, the upgrade option is to go with something like a plumb bob park maybe. Again, that does have a little bit of an entrance, but I think it's less obvious, and you do have it on both sides, so I think that's actually a better fit in some ways. So we could pop some of those down. So let's take out the little fountain parks, and it makes it a little bit more special as well. So we'll bulldoze that. We'll put some of the rows of trees in now. Let's do that. There's our rows of trees, there we go. So 2 of those, and we'll just kind of break it up a bit. And then once I'd started and, you know, thought about this central area and how that would look, I then moved my thoughts to what do I want on the outside. So what's the sort of casino area going to look like over here and over here? And I wanted obviously to put in the gambling houses, the sleek casino towers, the sci-fi stuff, the luxurious ones, and I wanted to build up an area where they would look good together, but also have parks in and around them that would look good together. Obviously, we need to build the gambling HQ first before we can build the other towers and houses, not houses, sorry, the other gambling buildings. And what I did for that was bring out a road and try and use this bit of the desert over here, because I felt that originally having the road going sort of up and down here, where I had it before I changed my mind and moved it over there, I was sort of using the desert quite well, but with the new road in the middle here, I wasn't using this piece of the desert, and it wasn't going to get used, and I wanted to try and do that. So what we do is, I think I came up with something that looked a little bit like that. So just a sort of, almost a little, not a roundabout as such, but just an area for the gambling HQ to sit inside and be at the centre of. And I think I must have used 2 roads. I'd probably have to go back and look at my actual city to remind myself. But yeah, I think I did I probably put in 2 roads like that, and then just kind of tweaked the outside here, and then I'm fairly sure I added on some little parks in the middle, so that so it was something like this, so that this in its entirety sits inside the desert. You see it's almost touching the greenery there, but not quite. And then I just popped in some parks around the gambling HQ, so it sort of fits in the environment. Let's go ahead and do that now as well. And we could choose a couple of different ones, but I think having the theme of these rows of trees is a good one to do. And we can put one in there, one in here, and then 2 along the back. And they're relatively inexpensive parks once you've got lots of Simoleons in your city and you've built up and you're thinking about things a bit more creatively. So then our entrance to our casino strip kind of looks a little bit like that. You'd have your Sims, you know, driving down this way, and they'd be like, oh look, there's a gambling HQ over there, yes, I'm definitely in the right place, and then they'll move into the main area. So let's start thinking about that. So on the left hand side, on the long side of the strip, I wanted to have the luxurious casino be the main feature of that. So let's go ahead and grab a few of those. Grab one of the main buildings and a couple of the towers, because putting a few of these next to them, I think, makes it look really nice. If you just pair one of them with the luxurious casino, yeah, you get the idea that it's fairly grand. It looks, you know, quite nice. You've got a nice bit of greenery there. You've got some colours between the two buildings that look good. But if you drag in a second one and you put them alongside each other, immediately it looks a lot more grand and imposing. And if you spread them out, it gives the appearance of it being more of a, you know, almost a casino complex, an area there where, you know, Sims would go to gamble or spend their free time or whatever they might be doing. So let's move that along. Let's have that one there. And then, because it's the luxurious one, I decided I wanted to have a huge complex and just have, I think, 3 casino towers I settled on. You'd have to go back and check my actual videos to see what I finally kind of settled on. But I think it was something like that. Then I decided that actually, you know, you kind of need access to these properties, don't you? You have to have ways for service staff and, you know, hotel staff and people to kind of get to them. So I wanted to put in some roads to indicate that. So I put a road around the back of the complex, all the way around, and dropped it back down to the front. And I think it might have been, I think my complex in my desert may have been sort of one block or space of, you know, SimCity BuildIt real estate over this way, because I think the road wasn't touching this greenery here, or it was perhaps all the way over. I'm not too sure, but anyway, you can always fiddle with those kind of things as you go along and be like, okay, right, well, this is too close now, so actually maybe I'll move the entire thing 1 unit that way. And we could do that and spend the time doing that, but I think if I do that and present it to you, I'll probably do that kind of off camera and then show you the finished result. So having kind of decided that this was going to be my setup for the luxurious casino, I wanted to mirror that feel on the other side. So then we go ahead and check out the sleek casino. So we'll drop one of those down. Let's go for kind of there. We'll grab a sleek casino tower. And I don't want as many, or didn't want as many of the sleek casino things as the luxurious one, because the luxurious one was supposed to be the main imposing part of this gambling strip in the complex. So over here I had, yeah, a couple of the sleek casino things, and then I moved down the strip and we added in a sci-fi casino as well. Let's do that. And one of the sci-fi casino towers. And then that is all of the buildings used other than the gambling house. And I think I threw one of those kind of down here to sort of indicate, yeah, you know, Sims are leaving this area or entering this area. And then I had a couple down here to sort of indicate the entrance as well. And that started to give me an idea of kind of how this sort of gambling strip was going to look. Now I think it needs filling in, because while it's in the desert and we've tried to sort of build it in the environment, it doesn't look particularly good with the spaces in between the casino and the towers here. See the luxurious casino on the left and the tower on the right. So what I did then was go, okay, well, I want to carry on the park's theme, but I want to put in things which look good next to the casinos. So the sculpture garden seems the obvious choice for these ones, because it mirrors some of the colours and I think the sort of the opulence of the luxurious casino. You know, it's a sculpture. You've got the sort of beigey colours here on the sculpture garden, you can see, which are kind of mirrored a little bit on the roof of the casino towers, and on the side they match quite well. So I grabbed a few of those. Let's put 2 more of those sculpture gardens in. Gardens. So we'll put 2 more of the sculpture gardens in between the towers. 1 and 1 down here for 2. And now it starts to really feel like a, you know, a luxurious casino complex you're seeing there. It ties it all together a lot more than it felt it was with those, you know, little bits of desert and stuff. So that's good. So now we'll spin it around to the other side. And for these ones, I wanted to use the parks again. And for the sleek casino, I felt a really, really good match for the sleek casino was where is it? the reflecting pool park. It seems like a very natural fit for this building, and I think I actually had 2 reflecting pool parks and possibly 2 sleek casino towers actually. Let's go ahead and add another one of those in. It's been such a long time since I built that in my main city that I can't remember for certain. So gambling and sleek casino tower. Yeah, there we go. Let's drop one of those in. And then similarly, to tie the whole strip together, what we need to do is mirror, again, the arrangement we have on the left to the right-hand side. So we need a road around the back of the casinos, like this, just to sort of tie that one together. We could extend this road all the way along and have these sort of 2, the sleek casino and the sci-fi casino complexes, together on the right-hand side. And I can't remember if I did that or not. Let's leave a space though here, so 1 space there, then 1 space for the road, put the casino in there, we move the tower down, leave a space for the park, and then we go and select the park. And this one, again, I think is a really natural fit, because if you look at the urban plaza here from above, or drag one over, it almost mirrors the shapes of the sci-fi casino. You can see those kind of circles almost represented within the park itself, which I think is a really nice touch. Okay, so back to this then. We now need to copy again the design, drag a road around the outside, finish that off. That's the smallest of the 3 complexes there, and I think they fit this quite well. And you could even extend or shorten this depending on, you know, how many resources you had. When I built this in my main city, I had saved up a bunch of golden keys, I think probably a couple of hundred, just to make sure that I could, you know, do everything I wanted to. And you can decide then whether you want to provide, oops, I don't want residences, whether you want to provide areas for your Sims to kind of cut across the strip and do stuff like that. So you could pop in a little roadway part way down. We could add in some more parks down this way. Let's get some more of the rows of trees just to tie it all together, like that. And then similarly down this end, rows of trees again. And then we could sort of pop in another road here at the end, just to kind of indicate that, you know, we finished and we're kind of on our way out of the strip. And then if you wanted an exit road, you could have a single exit road heading off to the rest of your city, or, you know, whatever you want to do. Or you could have this sort of dual road setup that I've got here, and, you know, they zoom off into the distance. But this is the general concept of kind of what it's going to look like and how the casino strip fits into your city. And I think it works pretty well actually as a whole. Looking at it now, I would probably move the sci-fi casino over 1 block actually, just so it fills in this empty desert space there. So it would be 2 blocks over, wouldn't it? Yeah. I think that would tie it all together a little bit more, because you've got this sort of unnatural break now on this side. On the other side, it's just a single flow from, you know, tower all the way down to the other tower. So yeah, that's how I put together the gambling strip in my main city. You can check that out in my Blocks Plays Build It SimCity BuildIt series for real. You can see what I actually did with the casino strip and what it looks like in there. Well, it is in the sort of density of a city, so you can't kind of see it on its own, but that's more or less the build. What I will do now, I think, is try and sort of finish this up kind of off camera, and then I'll show you a quick kind of spin around and almost kind of time lapse of it, fully polished, so you can see what I would, the final sort of little tweaks I would make to get this looking really, really good and nice. So yeah, that's the casino strip in SimCity BuildIt. So let's take a look through it now. I've done those tweaks. We've got the Plumbog Park in the centre as the sort of focal point of the main driveway. We've got small fountain parks in between the rows of trees. We've added in a little roundabout here at the front of the gambling HQ, just to represent and highlight that entrance a little bit better, and I think that works quite well. We've moved the entire complex just 1 unit over to this side, which is, I think, better. Although we do have a little bit of the same problem we had on the other side with the road and the grass kind of touching there. but I think it's a lot less of a problem than it was on this side. And we've just pulled it all together with one long road down the back around the sci-fi casino and the sleek casino, and it looks much more like a gambling casino complex strip all in one now. And then on the way out, you know, your Sims might decide that actually they haven't had enough and they want to stop at the gambling house as well. So that is my gambling strip, casino strip, whatever you want to call it. I hope that's been a useful build and you've enjoyed it. And that's it for the day.